welcome back. This is the Helpful Home Inspector Matt Yate coming from our studio up in Hartford, Wisconsin, and we have a great show scheduled for you today. I got one of my guys, Mike, in here. He's going to hold down the show with me today. We're going to be bringing you guys some good quality content to help you better maintain and take care of your home, better understand what we do as home inspectors, and yeah, we'll have got some really good stuff. We're going to save your life today. Mark my words, all right? So today we have a lot of good stuff coming up, but the first thing we're going to get into is we're going to get into our Defect of the Week. Defect of the Week comes from a viewer question. Foodie something, I forgot his little call sign there. But yeah, so he asked a question about mold in the attic. We had a little short that we did. We'll play that first.
Hey gang, Matt the Helpful Home Inspector coming at you from a house over in Heartland, Wisconsin. Today we're talking about bathroom vent fans. So all of your bathroom vent fans need to discharge to the exterior, and there's a big reason why. And if you've ever gone up into your attic and seen stuff that looks like this, okay, this is a mold situation. See all that stuff going up here, and that's because of too much moisture from that guy. And over on the other side, there's another one of those. Definitely want to make sure you get all those bathroom fans vented to the exterior completely so that moisture does not go up into your attic. It will cause you a problem. Have a great one. Remember, you guys better take your house.
So my eye was twitching. Did you see that? I got that left eye twitch. I had some dust or something in that, but it makes me look like I'm having some seizure or something like that. But so mold in your attic is a real thing. I mean, we come across it
quite a bit
once a week.
Yeah.
Or so on average, you know. Most of the time it's not to that severity where it's throughout the whole attic space, but it is something that lots of times is localized to a small area where they're having bad venting, the bathroom vent fan going up in, whatever it may be. Mold's kind of a dirty word, though, you know. Realtors don't like us to it to come out of our mouths. It's the M word, you know. I don't know. It's just one of those things. You gotta.
It's common. It's just knowing about it and getting it corrected.
Yeah.
And then if you get the ventilation corrected, whether it's bathroom fan or attic ventilation, then
whatever's causing the problem, you know. But in all honesty, mold's everywhere. Mold's on your skin right now. It's on your table. It's on your phone. It's everywhere. It's just these mold spores don't. Group up or whatever, and don't cause big plumes of mold, generally speaking, unless there's a problem. You know, where we're having high amounts of moisture and poor ventilation, and then also some sort of a food source for the mold to consume. Now, once we get mold, it's very treatable, but we need to take care of what's causing the mold, or else the mold's just going to come back. Yep. Just having some mold and going up there and spraying it with some bleach isn't going to fix the problem. The bleach will kill the mold. It will take care of the problem at hand, but that's going to come back again unless you correct the ventilation or moisture problem that you're having. So, you know, basically what we always suggest is every 6 months you go up into your attic and you take a peek around. These 6 month periods, I usually suggest a 6 month maintenance cycle between October and end of April, March. So usually I tell people Halloween and Easter. Halloween and Easter. If you take a day, just 24 hours, 12 hours. You take 12 hours on those 2 days of the year to maintain and take care of your home, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And you're going to catch problems before they become problems. You're going to notice things that are going on in your home before they become big, huge expenses. And it's just going to make your life better. But one of those things you should be doing in that 12-hour period is popping your head up into your attic space, you know, taking a look around, see if there's any moisture showing up there, any signs of mold issues, any critters growing up in there. Do you have any bats happening, you know, that kind of stuff. And you don't have to crawl through your attic, okay? But just opening up the scuttle hole, sticking your head up in there, taking a look, good idea. And then when you're done, make sure you put your insulation back over your scuttle hole to keep the heat in your home. So if you have a mold issue in your home, the first thing you got to do is obviously take care of the ventilation and moisture problem, right? What are we going to do to treat the mold?
Well, basically a company's going to come out and spray a chemical across it to basically dissolves or evaporates everything off the surface, and then basically it's gone. And then you got to, whether it, what source it is, you know, obviously figure out, is it the bathroom fan causing it? Is it all black around that? And that's what they clean and treat it, and you got to vent it out. Or if you got to improve the ventilation and, you know, get that corrected.
Yeah. So, attic ventilation, there's calculations that need to be done to figure out the exact volume of air intake versus air outgoing, exhaust. And if a house doesn't meet that, you're having some unequilibrium in the attic space as far as your ventilation goes, then the moisture is going to gather in there and stuff. You might, in the wintertime, if you looked up in there, you might see frosty nails or frost on the bottom of the decking. Those are signs of moisture issues. You'll see the discoloration.
Ice damming is a good one.
Ice damming, yeah. Ice damming's a big
not always a contributor to mold or anything, but it's heat loss or insulation issues. So.
Yep. Ice damming, just having icicles on your home, people, is not ice damming, by the way. Don't get all weird on us, okay? Basically, what we have a problem with when we have ice damming is you have a problem with air infiltration into the attic space and poor ventilation / insulation of the attic space. So, ice damming is a problem here in Wisconsin, not as big of a problem as it's made out to be a lot of times. Yep. But it is still a problem. But as far as the chemical that people spray onto the mold surfaces, the cheapest way to go is 2/3 water, 1/3 bleach. That works. You can put in a spray bottle. You want to make sure you're wearing a respirator and goggles, not safety glasses, goggles when you're doing that work. You don't want to get any bleach in your eyes or that kind of in your any of the soft skin parts of your face and stuff. You don't want to get bleach in there. But spray it in those on those surfaces and stuff. The mold will almost looks like it disappears. But it's technically the dead spores are still there. The other product, the product that the pros use, is going to be called RMR86. You can go on Amazon. You can buy it by the jug or by the spray bottle, whatever you prefer. But RMR86 is the chemical that they're all going to use to spray on the surface. And it does the same thing as the bleach and water mixture. It's just not as toxic, I guess I would say. It's not hard to breathe around like bleaches, and stuff like that. It's not as abusive to your nostrils,
sure.
But it is still it's basically a harsh chemical, that you're spraying up in there. But that is only again after you take care of the ventilation problem. So that's
by the way, he's not saying don't wear a respirator while using it. Follow safety precautions on the RMR86, but it is a lot more tolerable to breathe than the bleach,
for sure. So that is our defect of the week. Save a buck while we're talking attic space. Let's check your insulation in your attic space. This is the time of year, folks, to get that done. Okay, the fall when things are a little bit cooler out, but you aren't dealing with frost and snow issues and things like that. That's the time to get that insulation added to your attic space. It will save you money. Okay, as far as the insulation goes, your attic in the state of Wisconsin should have anywhere from 10 to 15 inches of insulation up in your attic. If you have less than that, you're not meeting the current standards that are expected for every home. I'm not talking new construction. New construction is a different beast. We're talking R45, R50 when we're talking about that. And our values are basically a determination of the ability of heat and air to flow through the material. So 7 to 10 inches of insulation is going to give you about R30 to R36, which is normal for the state of Wisconsin. If you have a newer home, you're looking at about 15 inches of insulation, which is going to give you about R45 to R50. And it does dramatically reduce your heat loss. Okay. One of the hard places to insulate is in your walls and things like that. So during construction is a great time to think about insulation and spending maybe a little bit of extra money because you can't open up those walls. Well, you can, but it's a pain in the to open up walls and try to add insulation in your vertical walls down the road. So paying that extra money, lots of times a lot of the companies out there are just doing a batt insulation, which is subpar as far as I would be concerned. Okay, batt insulation doesn't meet building code. Yeah, 6 inches of batt insulation is going to meet building code expectations for your vertical walls. However, a closed cell spray foam would be the best. So that's best practice. If you're talking the kind of a mid-range practice, the insulating contractors and the contractors and architects, they talk about a lot of what's called flash and batt. So basically, they spray a thin layer of closed cell foam on the outside of the wall to basically help with air sealing, and then they put batt insulation to fill the rest of the cavity. And it's better than just batt insulation, but closed cell foam to fill up the entire cavity would be the best, So yeah. Options there. So as far as our defect of the week and save a buck, I think we got it covered. All right. So today we have Mike Severson, one of my other inspectors, long term. Maybe been 8 years now ish, something like that. You're up around
something like that.
Just over what around? Got to be getting near to 2,000
Close.
inspections now,
Yeah.
right? Something like that.
Yeah, a little over 1,600, I think.
Is that what it is? At?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike, while being a home inspector with me for a long time, he's also a licensed general contractor in the state of Wisconsin, aren't you, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That test was a pain in the rear end, wasn't it?
A little bit. I mean, it was.
You knew a lot going into it.
Yeah, I mean, there was questions that were just like, I'll never use. Like, I'm not gonna build a chimney.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna do that. But but
They
yeah,
want
it
you to
was-
have some
it was
basic
lengthy.
knowledge about everything, basically.
Clearances and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. And Mike, besides being a general contractor, also owns some rental properties and some other stuff. You got a bunch of stuff. You got a bunch of irons in the fire, we'll say. Okay. And Mike, as having all these irons in the fire and being a talented individual, he has picked up a lot as far as construction knowledge and can do a lot. And so he got a phone call this weekend from a family member wanting him to come up and help him deal with a kind of a shitty problem.
It was, yes. Pun intended.
Pun completely intended.
Yeah. It was rebuilding drain piping basically for the house in a crawl space. So it was fun. But it got done.
Way up north, like 4.5 hours,
almost
5
Hayward,
hours away.
Almost Hayward.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of driving, man.
it was. Yeah. Got up at 4 on Sunday and got back home at 11 o'clock on Sunday.
Sent
So
pictures. It looked great though when you're
Looked
done.
good.
Yeah, but it basically was all
leaks.
rotted out cast iron and
Yep.
just
failed.
It failed. It had time and whatnot. It wasn't as messy as I envisioned it. Like, see, when you tell me that his ship pipe cracked and that they were continuing, or that it was leaking into the crawl space for a long time. I'm like,
it was.
dude, there's gonna be piles of like human fecal matter and whatnot. In there.
It was a crack in a pipe, so all the
it was just water
solids
leaking
came
through.
out, but and
No solids came out. You mean?
I'm sorry, all the solids went through, and just the liquid came out.
Yeah.
But I forgot what he put on there. Anyways, I can't think of what he sprinkled on there. Basically to stop the smell. Lye.
Oh,
Lye?
okay. That's a very harsh.
I don't know what he.
That's what people put on decomposed bodies.
Yeah, I think that's basically what he did, just to take the smell out. He pumped all the liquid out and then spread that out to take the smell away, and it actually didn't really smell at all.
All right.
So it was good. And then we threw some plywood down that I brought up there because I was trying not to stand in as much as possible.
Yeah.
But no, it got done
And there was area to stand, so it wasn't like a crawl space. Like we've been in crawl spaces where you gotta crawl, belly crawl, and stuff like that.
It was like 5.5 feet, so you had to lean, or duck the whole time. But it worked.
Sure.
In between joists, you were good.
Got it done.
Yeah.
So basically, Mike swapped it all out with PVC, and everything was running smooth and clear. And basically, when you're doing drain lines, you got to make sure you have the proper pitch and everything, and that everything's not got too aggressive of a slope. Otherwise, things will dry out and clumps will sit. But it also has to have enough pitch to move the water and
through.
stuff. Yeah. So a little bit of a cat and mouse finding that butter zone, but not too hard to do if you got a good level, you know. So cool. So
Actually,
that was Mike's adventure.
This is actually the same one I got that I used.
Yeah, there you go.
So
the only bad part is PVC is not gonna adhere to PVC, but
just hold it up there.
the little Milwaukee level, dude. I love that thing.
Yeah,
it's solid. Yeah, I mean, and it snaps to the metal, and it's got pretty good flat surfaces on there and stuff. So it's really been a good little level for me. But let's get into our topic of the day. So we have kind of a split topic today. Okay, so number one, we're going to talk about ladder safety. Number two, we're going to talk about the alternative to ladder safety when it comes to inspecting homes. So, which we kind of have a little bit of a display here, which is drone technology, which Mike and I are thoroughly immersed in. And I've been in it since I started 2010, 2009, 2010, something like that. Yeah. And I actually brought my first drone in today. The first drone I've ever owned. I know. Exactly. Where is it, huh? I'm going to show it. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to pull it out.
Pieces, probably.
I'm pulling out my drone, not... Never mind. Okay,
drone.
So drone. My first drone. Yeah. So as far as ladder safety goes, a couple of things. When it comes to ladder safety, a lot of people just use ladders and they don't think about it. They just put it up and use it. And as a result, according to the CDC, 500,000 people get injured or are treated for ladder-related injuries, and about 300 people die every year because of ladder falls. Okay, we were at a conference one time where another home inspector, he was only up on the first rung, fell backwards for some odd reason, smashed his arm. Remember that guy that came in and had the big? Yeah. He had a hole. His arm was in a whole thing. He couldn't work for 6 months. Because he fell off the first rung of the ladder because the ladder shifted, And it's
were they talking about ladder safety too?
I think they were that day, weren't they? At our conferences, they talk about all kinds of stuff, but ladder safety is just one of the topics that we get. But it's something that impacts people's lives. And when we're talking 500,000 people getting injured, and these injuries probably aren't necessarily little. These aren't finger pinches. No. These are. Somebody breaks an ankle, breaks a back, whatever, broken arm, could be all kinds of stuff, And that is not even talking about the property damage and things like that come as a result of misusing the ladder and stuff. So it's estimated as far as the injuries go in the U.S., $24 billion are attributed to ladder injuries. That's crazy.
That's not even including the ones that get lucky and fall off and don't hurt themselves.
Oh yeah. The guy that falls off the ladder slides off and he doesn't get injured. Yeah,
there's some pretty crazy videos on YouTube.
You can find some of them. I should have brought some up today, but yeah. Ultimately, ladders are a dangerous thing to use, but it is a necessity for a homeowner to be able to use a ladder.
Gutters, wash windows,
cleaning gutters, paint, wash windows, do all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
But it is something that we need to be able to use and use safely. So while most people, they go to the store, they buy the ladder, they don't think twice about it, they bring it home, they use it, they don't do any looking up of how to use this thing safely. They just assume you lean it up against something, you climb up it, right?
Good.
And I'm good. Yeah. But that's not how we use a ladder safely. We're going to go through that in just a little bit. But as far as the $24 billion, they're talking about work loss, medical, legal, liability, pain and suffering expenses. And loss of life. That's crazy, So something definitely to take seriously when we're talking about using a ladder. You want to make sure that you're doing a few things to make sure that you're using the ladder safely. Now, every ladder that you go and buy, if you're going to go buy a ladder at Menards, Home Depot, Ace, whatever, you're going to buy it at a rummage sale, wherever you're going to get that ladder, it should have a data sticker on it. This data sticker is going to tell you a number of things. It's going to tell you its working load, its length, its safe working height, all that kind of stuff. It's going to have also precautions in there and things like that. But the data sticker is going to be stuck right to the ladder. If the data sticker is worn off on a ladder, you want to buy a different ladder. So you want to make sure that you're buying a ladder that is suited for what you're trying to do, but also so that it is suitable for supporting your weight. And so if you're a 300-pound dude, you got to make sure that you're buying a ladder that's made to support not 185 pounds. Yep. You know what I mean? Because that's just asking for trouble. So read the data sticker and look at the ladder rating, making sure that it is going to meet your needs before you go and purchase it. All right. One of the things that happens a lot of times with people is ladder kick out or slide out, where the bottom of the ladder kicks out of them, or the ladder slides off sideways. Yep. Probably the most common type of injury that occurs from ladder use. And we want to try to avoid those things. We're going to go through some tips and tricks to help you do that. We actually have an app for your phone that will help you be safer when using a ladder, which will be kind of cool. So we'll get into that as well. And then as far as the ladder safety tips, the first one that we always have, use the right ladder for the right job. The app that we're talking about is by Neosha. It's basically the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, and they basically have regulations for working with hazardous chemicals, using ladders, what kind of gloves and protective eye equipment, and that kind of stuff you need to wear. So they have a lot of standards of practice as far as workplace safety goes. Okay. And one of the things they have, which is really cool, is the Neosha app. Now the app basically is an app that offers you a couple of different things. Let me get the app up here. I'll show Mikey it. But basically what it does is it has a gauge on it that you can put right against your ladder to see what your angle is. So you put your phone right on your ladder to see what your angle is, and the optimal angle for a ladder. Mike, do you know what it is?
70.
Oh, don't look at the cheat. You don't cheating.
I thought it was 72, but I just looked down. It's 74.5.
74.5.
So,
Generally, they just go for 75-degree pitch is what you're looking for. But you basically open up the app or whatever, and you can put it right on the side of your phone, right on the ladder, and it'll tell you what your pitch is, and when you're too steep or you're too shallow, and you need to adjust it. So kind of cool. But it also has this thing that helps you pick the right ladder for what you're trying to do. Should I have an extension ladder? Should I have an A-frame ladder? That kind of thing. And kind of helps you kind of analyze what you're doing and what kind of ladder you should be using as a result of that. And then it gives you some tips and suggestions for like accessories and things like that you might want to use to make your ladder experience a little bit safer. Like, tie down straps for tying down the bottom of the ladder, and V bars and things like that to go up against trees and posts and things like that. So kind of a cool app, but it is an app made by NIOSH. Just go into your App Store or the Google Play Store or whatever, NIOSH, or just put in ladder safety. If you put in ladder safety, it's the first app that comes up. So free, completely free. Yeah, nice. Completely free. So saving your life for free. I mean, tip of the week. I mean, yeah. Could be too. So yeah, I told you I'm going to save your life today, people. Okay, so that's the NIOSH app and National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. You can go to their website and look up all kinds of standards of practice as far as workplace safety goes. Just a nice little website. So you actually got some pretty robust elements to it, which is kind of cool. Now let's get into some of our other ladder safety tips. So using the right ladder for the job. Inspect the ladder. Most people skip over that, right?
A lot of people buy them off Lake Country for Sale or Craigslist or wherever.
Yeah. Uncle Bob's got one. You grab out of the rafters of the barn, and then this old wooden thing or whatever. Yeah. One of the newest things that we see in ladders today is they're using a lot of rivets and things like that. And these punch rivets can come loose. And if it comes loose, like I had a Werner ladder ladder that I originally started my business with. My very first ladder, okay? It's the part that's sitting out in the garage. And one of the I was coming down off of it, and one of the rivets pulled loose as I was coming down. So it was stiff going up. When I checked the ladder, everything was good. But then when I was coming down, one of the rivets pulled loose, or and almost lost my shit off the ladder, Wow. And thankfully I had my points of contact, so I was fine, Yeah. But man, that could have been a bad day. Yeah. Could have been a really bad day just because I had a loose rivet, And I actually, emailed Werner or whatever, and they, were very, thankful. I let them know about the problem or whatever, and asked if there was anybody that got hurt or anything like that. No, nobody got hurt, but I just want to make you guys aware, what happened. But yeah, they were cool about it. And then as far as the checking the ladder, you always want to make sure that your feet are in good shape, that your things aren't loose or anything like that. If you're using like a Little Giant, which is what a lot of people have, or these multi-position ladders that a lot of people are using, you want to make sure all the latches and locks are in place. If one of them's off, I mean, you're putting all your weight on one rung because the other one's unsupported. Yep. So that's
shifts and tips and
yeah, and then you're going ass over tea kettle, down the road. But always want to make sure that you check that ladder thoroughly for any damage or anything that might be loose or not functioning properly at the ladder. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure to place the ladder flush against the top and flush on the bottom. You have 4 points of contact, generally speaking. With the ladder. And you want, as far as the ladder contacting whatever it is you're working on, you want to make sure that those 4 points of contact are in place. Now the only exception to this is if you're working on a tree or a pole or something like that, where you're going to only have that 1 point of contact, and in that case, there are special accessories or safety devices that you should be using in that scenario, like V-rungs and straps and things like that, to make sure that the ladder is not going to shift at all on you. But you got to make sure the top and bottom are flush against the surfaces that you're looking to work on. You always want to make sure that you have the right angle, the right angle. We just briefly talked about that. 74.5 degrees, but you could use the app, which is great, which will help you, okay? But they also have a general rule as far as how to figure out if the ladder is the right, or is about 75 degrees, right? Do you know what that is, Mike?
What?
How do we tell if the ladder's about 75 degrees without a tool or an app or something?
Oh, I put my feet at the bottom, put my toes to the bottom of each foot, and then reach out. And if I can put my hand on the rung.
Your hand, you should be able to grasp the rung, yeah. So basically, you put your toes right up against the bottom of the ladder, and then you put your hands straight out, not leaning. If you have to lean to grab it, then your ladder's not at the right angle. You should stand straight up, put your toes at the bottom of the ladder, put your hands out, and your hands should rest on the rung. If it doesn't, then the ladder is pitched improperly and you need to correct it. Okay. But always, you can always get that app too. Who doesn't have their phone on these days? And if you're going on a ladder, have your phone in your pocket, for crying out loud. If you fall off that ladder and you can't get up,
You know what somebody should do?
what?
Put a little level on the side of it.
That's got a little
Little
doodad.
bubble. Yeah, because they do that for car seats.
Yeah.
For kids. Because you
Maybe.
got to have them at the proper angle.
Yeah. Oh,
That'd be something cool.
that might be. Yeah. Now, one of the things that they have on the app is it's different because the ladder are different. I don't know how that would work. We'll look into that. So
Yeah.
we're gonna come up with an invention here. So we've got to But ultimately, folks, 75 degrees is what we're looking at. Get the app, download it. Otherwise, use your feet and hands, and you can figure out pretty close that you're gonna be safe to operate that ladder. Now, Mike and I were actually on site one time, and one of the things that I'm gonna mention is always make sure that you're on a nice stable base, that your legs are on a non-slippery surface. If you have a ladder with ground spikes and you're outside, use the ground spikes, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Those things go down into the ground, and that ladder ain't going nowhere.
Yep.
We were actually at a house over in Heartland at an
Epoxy
inspection.
floor.
Yeah, it was an epoxy floor, and Matt Matt there was a little attic space above the garage, and I was going up there to check out the insulation level and stuff like that. And Mike had just gone inside to put his stuff away or whatever, and I put my ladder up. I had the 75 degrees. Everything was good, or about 75 degrees. And then next thing you know, the bottom of the ladder slipped out. It slipped on the epoxy because the epoxy floor was pitched slightly towards the floor drain. Mm-hmm. And so I, luckily, was at the point on the ladder where my hands were I could reach out and grab the top of the wall. And so I held the top of the wall, and I'm like, Mike! And so he came out and supported the ladder or whatever while I climbed down. But holy man.
That was close.
Yeah, that was a close one, you know. And so I don't like to take a lot of risks when it comes to ladders. It is something that you got to take seriously. You don't want to get injured. You know, you're trying to do something good to maintain and take care of your home. The last thing you want to do is end the day on a bad note by going to the hospital or something like that, or even worse, ending your life. You know, it's just ridiculous that some people aren't taking these things seriously and taking safety seriously. So when you're going to go up and do the job or whatever, spend the extra 5 minutes. Check over the ladder. Make sure you're on a good base. Make sure everything is going to be good so that you are going to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, and that you're not going to get injured in doing so. Okay. It doesn't take a lot of time nor effort. All right. If you don't have the 5 minutes to check over your ladder, make sure you're doing things safely, you probably shouldn't be doing the project. You shouldn't rush those types of things. It's not.
Or hire somebody to do it. It's going to be cheaper than the ambulance.
Or hire somebody to do it, and maybe hire somebody that has insurance that can do that kind of work, because you don't have insurance as far as damaging your home and things like that. Well, I guess homeowners insurance probably would cover it if you cause any major damage, but I don't know. But I have a $1,000 deductible on my insurance policy, so that'd be a lot. So so that is that. Always, also, when you're using the ladder, 3 points of contact is what we've always talked to everybody about, and what's always preached to us. 3 points of contact. So you're only moving one limb at a time. So you have two hands on the ladder and 1 foot as you're moving the next foot down, and then you move it one hand, move the next hand. And you have to be conscientious about it. If you're having just 2 points of contact or whatever, you're doing something, it's very easy to slip, fall backwards, lean backwards a little bit. Next thing you know, you're going ass over tea kettle. When you're working on a ladder, it really should only be one-handed work. You shouldn't be carrying heavy loads up and down the ladder and things like that. Does that mean some people do it? Yeah, they do. But there's better ways to do that. We can get a ladder elevator and things like that if you need to get things up. Or, you know what, just tie a rope onto your belt. Tie a rope onto whatever you need to haul up there, whatever, get up to where you're working or whatever, and pull it up. It's just a better way and safer way of doing it. So that is that. As far as the ladders go, always strapping the top of the ladder. So when we're working on a home, we carry a bungee cord up with us, and we strap the ladder to the gutter, not only so that when we're walking around the roof and we come back and the ladder is still there because the wind didn't blow it off or something like that, that happened to me one time. It will never happen again. I had to sit on that roof and wait till the realtor showed up an hour and a half later. So that was no fun. There's things like that where I forgot to strap the ladder. I was like, should I go get my bungee cord? No, I'm only going to be up here for a little bit. And I jumped up there and did it. Next thing you know, I come back or whatever, and the ladder was laying on the ground. I didn't even hear the ladder fall because I was on the other side of the roof, And I am like looking down at it, and I'm like, There's no trees around. There's no way I'm getting off this unless I'm Superman jumping down 10 feet, and duck and roll. That ain't gonna do that. So I had to wait till people came because there was no neighbors around. It was like a rural house, so
sure.
It was a long time. At least I had my phone to keep me company.
It wasn't 100 degrees.
It wasn't 100. No. Okay. It was like fall, But it's like it's the same thing. Like when we're going through the house, I don't latch the door from the inside of the room anymore because I was at an old house, latched the door from the inside of the room, pulled it out, the doorknob came out, and it was like one of those really old that had the key in it, the skeleton key. Yeah. And the latch, the door was thick or whatever, and the latch there was like it was weird, so I couldn't use a screwdriver or nothing to get it out, and the hinges were on the outside of the door, so I couldn't pop the hinges, so I was stuck in the room till somebody came and could. I mean, it was a hot mess. But anyways, that will never happen again. And it was the doorknob normally has the post that goes through. Yep. The post, it was like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
The post was there, and the post was the part that fell out of the door on the other side. So all I had was this little glass knob. It was just a hot mess. So now we don't latch any doors from inside the room. We always latch them from check the door from the outside. Yeah. But just some of those things you learn as you go. So as far as the ladder goes, always having a spotter whenever possible is a great idea. Whenever you're up over one story, OSHA requires certain things. If this is a workplace situation, they require a second person to be on site. They require safety harnesses and things like that. If you can't have that, you got to talk to your boss. Be like, hey, I can't work like this. This is OSHA comes around. OSHA hands out fines, like big fines. So we want to definitely avoid those types of situations. Some of the accessories that we could get for using a ladder, you could get basically adjustable legs on it. So this one that we have here, this little giant, has adjustable legs on both sides. So if you're on an incline. Yep. So if you're on a hill, or if you're putting it on a set of stairs, and one can be up and one can be down, that's that adjustable, which is kind of cool. But they make ladder levelers that you can just put on one side of your ladder, and use, which is kind of cool. And you can attach it to like just a regular ladder. You don't have to buy a special ladder to have that available to you. Ground spikes. You can also get improved rubber feet for on the bottom of your ladder, which is always good.
Even ladder for the top too, so it doesn't mar.
Yep. Yeah, those little spongy rubber blue things are usually
kind of
blue.
Looks like a mushroom type deal.
Yeah. My grandpa used to just take old T-shirts and wrap it around the end of his ladder, to stop from scratching the surfaces and stuff like that. Stabilizing straps. So basically, to prevent kick out, where the bottom of that ladder kicks out, you would tie a strap on the bottom, tie it around something against the house, a post, of whatever. Sometimes people put a spike in the ground, to keep it from kicking out. Yeah. And then V-rungs, like we talked about, for like trees and poles and things like that. Basically, it takes, instead of having the 2 points of contact, it gives you a V so that you have that 1 point of contact. So it sits up against that tree or whatever and kind of stays in place. Yep. If you looked at like a person that does arborist or whatever, they're gonna have their ladder's gonna have a little pointy at the top or whatever, and they're gonna have that V notch on there and stuff for going up against a tree and stuff. So, and they have usually a very wide base on those ladders as well. So so kind of cool. Nice. Ladder safety, you guys, really important. Spending the extra 5 minutes can save your life. It can be huge, and if you do not have the 5 minutes, wait to do the job. It's nothing is going to be that urgent.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say is, and anybody who hauls a ladder around, if you borrow a ladder for somebody, make sure if you put it on the truck, car, van, whatever you got, make sure you strap it down immediately.
Yeah,
because so many times people have driven away with ladders not strapped down, and they end up all over the road somewhere,
or cause accidents or whatever.
Yeah, there was one 2 weeks ago that was on the freeway.
No bueno.
Flew off the truck. So.
And it's expensive to drop.
And then the ladder's junk.
Yeah, $250, $300 for a decent ladder these days. On the low end, you can get expensive when you get into some of the fiberglass stuff and whatnot. And also don't use ladders in inclement weather. So if it's raining out, that's not the time to use a ladder. No. Too many slippery surfaces and stuff. Never put a ladder up in snow or any icy situations or anything like that. It can cause a lot of injuries that way because you never know when that's going to slip out on you or something like that.
I set my ladder up. I got a Warner ladder just like this. I set it up as an A-frame behind my truck. And that, during the wintertime, because I was going to take it into the garage to go into the scuttle hole. And I set it up as an A-frame, turned around to close my tailgate, and the thing started sliding down the driveway.
Oh, no. The whole ladder did?
The ladder. It was an A-frame, and it just started sliding.
Yeah. No,
So
no good.
You definitely don't want to be up on that thing trying to get up on your roof.
No, inclement weather, definitely not the time to use your ladder. All right, so Mike and I are drone enthusiasts. We've been using drones to inspect houses since I started inspecting and since Mike started inspecting. Drones has been really the way. Now, Mike and I are, I would say, ahead of the curve when it comes to home inspectors that use technology. So we are, generally speaking, on the little younger side of home inspectors. That age group that we look at when we're going to our meetings and stuff, usually about that 50 to 65, 70-year-old guys. Mike's in his mid-30s now. I'm in my mid-40s. And, there's a couple of younger guys. With us
here or there.
Yeah, here or there. But generally speaking, we are on the lower end of that. And so when Mike and I come in, we don't get hurt on ladders anymore. We use our drones to inspect the majority of the roads that we go up. You use those toys? They're not toys, guys. Yeah. They're work tools, and they save me a lot of money. When you talk to any of those old guys that go and the only way to do it is to get your feet up on that roof, that's the only way you can inspect a roof. Okay, how many times have you fallen off that roof? Well, are you talking the last 5 years or, and they've got a number of ladder injury stories. Okay. Yeah. And every time you have to go to the hospital these days, one emergency room visit going to be what? $8,000, $10,000? Something like that, I have a brand new Mavic 3 Pro that we just bought that I'm going to do an unboxing on. We're going to start getting into some product reviews and stuff. Mavic 3 Pro, we're going to unbox that next week and let you guys see what that looks like. But this brand new Mavic 3 Pro, $2,000, $2,400 by the time I'm all said and done. And you know what? I'm never going to have, whenever I'm using this, I'm never going to have a ladder injury. I'm never going to have to go to the emergency room because of it or anything like that.
Flying it you can fly it when there's snow and ice on the ground.
I can
fly not when it's raining.
Yeah, I can fly it when there's snow and ice on the ground, and it's just there's huge benefits to it. So drones have been a huge part of our inspection business since day one. We like it because we can also provide a 720p video to our clients. There's lots of benefits, which we're going to get into, but I want to share a treat with Mike. So I brought my first drone that I ever used. I got it in 2010, and it is, in comparison to what the technology is today, this is a far cry from what we have today. Okay. All right, you ready for this?
Is it like Atari versus PS5?
Yes.
Okay.
Sega Classic?
Yeah. What in the world?
Yeah. So this is the Parrot drone. And this is the protective cover. It came with a different cover here.
That thing's got to catch so much wind.
Oh,
it's not even funny.
This thing doesn't have GPS locking or anything on it. So this thing, if whenever it caught a stiff breeze, it would fly into a tree. Hence, you can see all the hot glue marks and stuff, from the thing breaking and whatnot.
It looks like the rotors hit the foam sides a couple times.
The rotors have seen better days and stuff, but it basically... this was the one cover. This is the safety cover, and this was the non-safety cover.
That's sport mode. This
was sport mode basically back in the day. Yeah, but this was what it looked like, and it was the Parrot AR Drone 2.0, and it allowed me to, when I absolutely couldn't get up someplace that I needed to see.
Yeah,
this was when I pulled this out. Oh. This was not an every house type of drone. Not at all. But you can see it's got these big gears on it that turn the propellers and stuff. I mean, one of the very early on drones, and guys would call it a toy and stuff like that, but there was never a chimney too tall for me to get to, and when other those guys couldn't do it, they would just say, I looked through the binoculars or whatever. I got a drone up there and shot video of it, and this back when in 2010, the video quality was maybe 480. Yeah. Today we're shooting at 1080p, or 4K. The new ones here, like Mike's and mine, my new one here, this is going to shoot 4K, I think, right? Yeah. So this was the very first drone I ever had. Check that by.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, yeah. And since then, we've gone through a number of different iterations of drone technology. I know it's
that one's a little.
they've seen better days.
Turbo blade.
Now, all of my guys start with this guy, which is the DJI Spark, and the DJI Spark is a smaller little drone, but it is still GPS locked. It is still going to shoot 720p video. It's going to do a great job, and it's a tiny little package that you can easily keep in your car, truck, whatever. The thing with the Spark is $600-$700. You know, if for $600 or $700, you can get into a full package with spare batteries and the whole thing, and be safer inspecting roofs, chimneys, whatever. There's no roof, no roof too steep, no chimney too high for this little guy. You know, the only thing with the little guy is wind. Yeah, wind speed is a problem. So when we have wind speed over, say, 20 miles an hour, this is not going to be really feasible. Okay, 20 to 30 miles an hour, this guy or this guy. Problem. Do it without an issue. They're big enough and heavy enough that they're not going to have a problem, get pushed around too much or anything like that. They will a little bit, but not a lot.
The GPS lock really holds it because you'll hear the propellers start ramping up to counter steer, basically the wind, and just hold it on that point.
Yeah,
so
the GPS lock is the hugest piece of the new technology.
Yeah. So
when we talk about GPS lock, people, what we're talking about is this drone. All of these drones, all the 4 of these drones here, basically communicate with the GPS signals to maintain their position. So if let's say we locked it on 5 and it moved over to 6 or 7, well, that's going to automatically move itself back by back to that GPS lock location by operating itself with the propellers. Now, this GPS lock will work no matter what. So with our GPS drones that we have here, I could take my remote control, I could throw it in a bucket of water, I could smash it with a sledgehammer, and this drone, after about 20 minutes, when the battery gets down to about 20% remaining, it will automatically come back and land exactly where it took off from. It will do that all on its own. Even if the remote control dies, I lose connectivity, whatever it may be, this is automatically going to do what's called return to home. And it's going to return to where I originally launched the drone from. So very important that we always look above us when we launch our drones, right, Mike? And
yeah. No trees. Obstacles, power lines.
So Mike's first spark, it met a quick death. He launched it.
No, it wasn't a quick death.
It was a pretty quick death. Well,
it was. I had that one for
quite
a while.
It was
like 2
but
years.
like when it crashed and it broke. It was a lot of pieces.
Yeah, there was a bunch of
so
tree debris.
Yeah, he launched it underneath the tree and took off and flew, did his thing or whatever.
In my
and was
defense, the whole street was tree covered.
The whole street was tree covered. There really was,
there was nowhere to take off without
it'd
going
be
underneath
tough to
trees.
find a spot. Yeah, then he came back and was ready to land. And right as he was getting ready to land, he fell below the 20%, and the drone wanted to automatically return to home. So it in the return to home feature, it automatically goes up to 30 meters, comes over, and comes straight down into its location. Mike had it underneath the tree ready to come in for a landing. This thing went into return to home mode, up 30 feet, right into a tree.
Yeah.
And, with these little guys, they don't have as good obstacle avoidance. So the newer drones, like this guy here has 360-degree obstacle avoidance, which is cool. Mine here, it has obstacle avoidance in the front and sides. I think this one, your Mavic 2 has
it
above
on top.
Here, yeah. So obstacle avoidance basically means that if you have that set for 5, 10 feet, whatever it may be, it's going to get to that 5 feet and then it's going to stop and not let you get any closer to branches, trees, houses, chimneys, wires,
anything,
people, anything. Yep. Yeah. And so very, very safe to operate. It really revolutionized home inspection. It's just that some people are late adopters to that kind of stuff. Mike and I, when it comes to technology, are probably some of the more early adopters, but it's definitely something that has made home inspection much safer, much safer, and in my opinion, better. And I understand somebody might have a different opinion about that, but some of the positive reasons why you should use a drone to inspect a home, 1080p video, right? A 1080p, I can shoot 1080p video, and I can get this drone within 6 inches of the roof surface, the equivalent of somebody sticking their eye 6 inches from that roof surface, hitting the record button, and then being able to show it to their client. I mean, seriously, that's awesome. So I can see the granular loss. I could actually pause the video and I can count the granulars if I really wanted to. That'd be a lot of time. But but it's just a high quality video and shot at high rates of speed, so we can really get good, clear video of everything. So it works out really good. What are the positive elements you got, Michael?
Well, like I mentioned before, you can fly it when there's snow and ice on the ground, you know, and you don't have to worry about getting up to that 3-story tall chimney. I mean, we don't carry a ladder 3 stories tall because we have the drone. But we can get up there and be able to inspect it even when there's snow and ice on the ground.
Yeah, snow and ice on the ground doesn't stop us from putting our eyes on something, for sure. Yeah. But if your home inspector is just using a ladder, he's going to say, oh, I couldn't get up there, but I used the binoculars.
Yeah.
Binoculars,
Can't see the top of the chimney cap. You can't see.
Yeah, I mean, binoculars have a place in home inspection. Don't get me wrong. However, when you have the ability to do better, why not?
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, just with ladders, you choose the right ladder for the job, right?
Yeah, the right tool for the job. Yeah.
Right tool for the
For
job.
sure. For sure.
In that case, this works.
Yep.
You know?
And with what we do, there's a lot of the newer homes have a very steep pitch, which is good as far as shingle life and things like that. It's going to shed water and snow better. However, climbing around on it, very hazardous, and
very fun at all.
Not very fun at all. So with the drone, I can get my drone right in there. I can go back and forth over the roof surface, see if there's any problems and stuff. I can get the drone into positions where an inspector normally can't go. So like if when you're talking about the ridge of the home, the peak, okay, if you have any sagging going on there, when you do structural supporting and things like that, I can take the drone, get it down next to the house, look straight along that ridge line and see if there's any sagging going on, if there's any dishing in the roof and things like that, which a home inspector probably wouldn't be able to get over there. I mean, especially in a 2-story type of situation, that kind of stuff. So, just allows us to get to a lot of different places. It also, the biggest reason that we use drones, Mike?
Biggest reason we use drones? Well, safety.
Safety,
really.
yeah.
I mean, getting on a roof is probably pretty easy. Getting back off the roof, that's where
where it gets hazardous.
Yeah.
And you know what? With using a drone, I'm going to go home with my family every night. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, you want to hire an inspector that's going to climb around the roof and take more risks or whatever. Maybe they charge more money to take that kind of risk or whatever. But it's more important to me to be able to go home to my family or whatever, you know, and not have to go to the emergency room. So huge thing. And the majority of the injuries that home inspectors suffer are ladder related, you know. So anytime that we can cut down the number of times that we're going up and down a ladder, you know, the better. So that's that. I also can give video evidence to my sellers and agents and clients and stuff so they can see exactly what we're talking about. And there's no dickering about it. Hey, there's damaged shingles, there's missing shingles, there's lots of granular loss.
And then they get the location too from the video.
Yeah.
Like, where was that damaged shingle? Well, it's at 2 minutes and 7 seconds, right? And it's on the back right corner of the garage and stuff.
Yeah, and you can even take the video and send it to a roofer and get an estimate, you know, or a chimney guy and get an estimate or whatever, you know. Most of the time they're going to come on, want to see that firsthand, but they can at least give you a ballpark, you know, is what you're looking at and stuff. So and it's a good way to document the structure. It saves time-ish, but not a ton, you know. I mean, if you went up and, you know, say you were to put a ladder up and you were to walk the whole roof or whatever, take your pictures, look at the chimney, do all that stuff. I probably would fly the drone a little bit faster than you're going to do that, but it's not earth shattering. You're talking a minute or two. You know, it's not going to be a huge difference. But flying the drone, generally, you know, all it is pull out the drone, power things up, hook up to the GPS signal, get up in the air, hit record, fly the roof surface and stuff. And the nice thing is I can always go back and review that video too. You know, if you didn't have a drone, all you have is your pictures that you took. I can look at, if a customer were to come at that drone video, I can go back and look, there weren't any damaged shingles that day. Here's the video. You can, you know, in this part of the video, you can see they weren't damaged at that point, you know, so it was probably wind damage that happened after the fact or whatever. And things happen and clients, lots of times they just don't know when it happened or whatever. And you know, in today's society, a lot of people, they just have a hard time accepting responsibility for their own stuff. You know what I mean? And they want to try to find blame or somebody else to pay for it. So, you know, it's one of those things that allows us to give that evidence to everybody so that they know exactly what we're looking at, which works out really good. So those are positive things. Are there negative things? There's a couple that some
can't
guys
fly it in rain.
Can't fly it when it's raining.
No,
can't fly.
And you really don't want to go on a roof at all when it's raining either, because it's
slippery.
Yeah.
You can't fly near airports.
Yeah.
So you got to be.
And you can tell right on the app too. You can look at the geo zones and look that way. You do have. I mean, it's just part of the flying a drone. You have to be licensed to fly a drone.
You got to carry a license, which I mean,
certified.
It had an expense when you first get the license, but now they changed things so that the re-up of your license doesn't cost any money. Hopefully they keep it that way to encourage more people to just get licensed. I mean, if the whole goal is to keep everybody educated out there using drones, that's got to be the way to do it, you know? Should we talk about turbo mode? It's not turbo mode, elite exposure. It's sport mode.
Sport mode.
So we'll talk about sport mode. I got a story to tell. Yeah. We'll tell. She's hinting at something here.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it does require a license, and that license does require renewal, and it does come with an expense up front. We all got trained, took an online course or whatever, and it was Drone Pilot 101. Was that what it was?
I think so.
Yeah. Jason on there. Jason's great. I mean, the videos that he put together are really outstanding. He updates them and stuff like that. So
and he's not monotone.
No,
he's
he's upbeat.
Yeah.
He's you can tell he's excited about what he does.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Great online course if you're looking to take a drone course and get certified. Remote Pilot 101 is the place we went and had a really good experience. One of the things also with the drone, I can see the outside of the chimney. I can't see in the chimney. Is the only one of the limitations.
Well, a lot of, a lot of times there's caps.
Yeah, if the chimney is
spark arresters or a metal chimney cap, you're not going to be able to see down them anyway. Yeah.
So that's a limitation, but it's not a huge limitation. The benefits of it far outweigh the negatives when it comes to a drone. And some guys would say drones are expensive. Okay, yeah. $2,400 drone is expensive. $2,400 is expensive for anybody. However, your hospital visit going to cost you 4 times that. So you can buy 4 of these things and crash them all, and you're still coming out ahead versus using a ladder every single day to get up on steep roofs.
Yeah, let alone if you fall off a ladder and you get seriously hurt at a home inspection.
Yeah.
You're not finishing that home inspection.
No.
You're getting taken away by an ambulance.
Yeah.
And
you might not work for a long time.
Yeah.
How much work loss are you going to have and stuff? So it just it's something that it makes better sense. Now, does that mean we use a drone for every single house? No. There's some situations where we're cleaning your airports. Sometimes there's something that is just goofy that you have to get up there to get your hands on it to see what it is you're looking at, or to see the depth of the damage that you can't see from the drone. But those times are few and far between, but they do exist, and with the drone, if you, are in like a no-fly area, you can apply to get permission to fly and stuff like that. We have done that in the past. And as long as you tell them I'm only going 50 feet up in the air, and I'm 4 miles away from the airport, can I have permission? A lot of times they'll still give you permission and stuff like that. But you got to adhere to those, policies, and that kind of stuff whenever you have your license. So, but we do have to carry an FAA license, and it's important that you have that. So, positives, negatives. I think positives far outweigh the negatives when it comes to drone usage. As far as the drone, we do have a bunch of videos coming out about drone flight and that kind of stuff and how we use drones to inspect roofs and stuff. But those are going to be separate videos that we're not going to be doing a live show because we're going to fly around the room here. But lots of cool stuff. Oh, and we are going to unbox the Mavic 3 next week, so you'll be able to catch that on the channel. And the Mavic 3 Pro, kind of cool. It's got the Cine camera on there. Oh, she wants me to tell my turbo mode story. So sport mode. So drones, generally speaking, will fly about 30 miles an hour in regular mode, right? 25, 30 miles an hour max speed. Now, when we go into what's called sport mode, which is like extra power mode, they can fly upwards of 50 or 60, 55 miles an hour, okay, is what I can fly this big white drone here in. Now, when I first got my drone, one of my good buddies, Jeff Robinson, shout out to Jeff. Jeff's a great realtor, and if you're looking to buy a home, he'd be a good guy to call. But Jeff is an early adopter of technology and things as well, and Jeff and I have a lot of interests in common. And so Jeff had a drone, and I had a drone, and then Jeff's like, you got to get this new one, this Phantom drone or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. I got to get it. So I went on and got it for Christmas, and Jeff and I went up north, and we were going to fly the drones, and he was going to help me put the pier in and stuff. And we put the pier in, and then we're going to just fly the drones around. And I'm flying my drone around, and Jeff's like, going up and he's cruising, he's flying. He's been flying drones a lot, the big drones a lot longer than I have. So he's flying around.
He was cruising above trees.
He's cruising above trees. Yeah, he was flying around like a crazy man. Yeah, he was all over the place. Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, watch it! You watch it! Return to home." He flew like 6 miles away or whatever, and the thing, then he set his drone down, went and got a beer or whatever, and then the thing came back and landed in the yard or whatever. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I'm not gutsy enough to try that. I'd be too afraid of losing my drone, and answering to my wife. But as far as Jeff goes, he was a frequenter to this sport mode. And I was like, sport mode? He's like, dude, you haven't lived till you tried sport mode. And I'm like, haven't lived? I'm like, and it was just me and Jeff up there. So there was nobody to talk me out of this. And Jeff was submitting some substantial peer pressure. And basically, Matt was like, oh, wow, sport mode, I haven't lived? I guess all I have to do is flip this little switch over and see what happens, So
drone's on the ground.
Drone's on the ground.
And you flip the switch.
I flip the switch over to sport mode.
Okay.
Yep. And I take off. Woo, and it goes, woo, and I'm like, holy shit, that's fast. That was speedy. He's like, just go. And I'm like, I don't know, man, So then I'm like, all right. So then I push the throttle a little bit forward and a little bit right, and we have this cellular extender thing that's on a pole and sticks up. Dude, I go up. I go up. Oh, that's fast. Just go, Matt. Just go. All right. Like it was literally a half a second, and this thing was. You've seen in Star Wars where the TIE fighter gets shot apart and all these pieces go flying. That's what this thing freaking looked like, falling apart. Now this drone was 2 months old, maybe 2 months old. Okay, and it was falling apart, and there was pieces all over my driveway. I was sitting there holding my drone in my hand, and just like, and I was like, dude. Sport mode? No. Oh my God, I'm dead. Tammy's gonna kill me. I just spent, $2,000 on this drone. She's gonna just destroy me. So Jeff's like, well, I've been planning on getting a new drone. You want to buy this one off me? It's the same exact one, or she'll never know. And so I'm like, that's not a bad plan. I have some fun money I can spend. So I basically bought Jeff's old drone off of him, brought it home, had the one in pieces that I was like, oh, I'm going to try to fix this thing. So I ordered a bunch of parts and stuff.
Yeah. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're trying to put the thing together.
I'm putting the thing together down in the basement, and guess who walks in? Wife. She sees all the pieces of the drone, and then she sees the other drone off to the side because I was using it as comparison to make sure I was doing it right, And she's like, what happened? Sport mode happened. It was not a great night. It was not a good night. She gave Jeff a hairy eyeball the next time she saw Jeff or whatever. But it was one of those things that, I don't do sport mode much anymore. Not unless I'm like way above trees and there ain't nothing around, no birds or nothing like that, Yeah, 55 miles an hour is way too fast to be flying your drone. So,
oh, by the way,
yeah.
Glad you brought up birds. Seagulls do not like drones.
They do not like drones. No.
So
there's a number of
be
birds.
Careful about that.
Yeah, those little finches don't like drones either. When you're flying around a house.
They do not like them.
So, if you're inspecting a home and you're not using a drone, folks, go out and get a drone. Stop waiting, okay? If you don't know how to do it, if you don't want to know where to get educated, you don't know how to get your license, drop me an email. Happy to share. I would much rather share information with you and make you a better inspector and make sure that you don't go to the hospital inspecting a roof someplace. It would be much better. Okay. So, but happy to help you out no matter where you are. But reach out. We'll provide you with some information, resources and stuff so you can get into the drone thing. It's really the way to go as far as inspecting goes. Your clients will be impressed. It'll provide better information to your clients and the realtors and the sellers and everybody. And it's going to make sure that you go home to your family every single night, no matter what. Now, the next thing we have is our question giveaway of the week. I've been talking it up that we're going to give away a Nest thermostat this week.
There you go.
I have a few Nest thermostats
from
Focus on Energy here. So we're going to give away a Nest thermostat this week as our question giveaway prize of the week. The rules with the prize of the week or the question giveaway is that if you have won a prize in the last month, you cannot win a prize until next month is up. But with a Nest thermostat, you probably want to make sure you have a home to use the Nest thermostat in, or somebody you could give it to that has a home that could use the Nest thermostat. But it is a great little thermostat. Will help you run your home more efficiently, and just a nice little thermostat. So it works well and does a good job. So the question of the week, and the person who gets closest to the correct answer that I have written on the board is the one that will win this. The question is, what is the FAA license an inspector or any professional is required to carry to use a drone on the job? Don't say it.
You might have already said it.
I don't think we did.
I think so.
Maybe. I don't know. But if we did, then were they paying attention? That's the question. Were you paying attention? All right. So what kind of license is a home inspector, or any professional? So if you're a realtor and you want to use a drone, you're a photographer, you got to have this license, okay? And if you don't have the license, you can get in big trouble. There was a local company in town here, not going to mention any names. The FAA went after them for using the drones to shoot the videos of their homes and things like that and do it professionally and get paid for it. And they got in big trouble. Like, they wanted to fine them $80,000, like a crazy number. They ended up settling for a much lesser amount, but it was like, holy cow, the FAA comes at you with both barrels loaded, ready to go.
The licensing is $125.
Yeah, and it's easy. The test is. I shouldn't say it's easy. It's, if you go through and do some education beforehand, it's not a hard test to pass. Yeah. So so that's that. Then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have a little bit of a mystery box battle. Tammy has prepared us something. I have no idea what's in those boxes, so we want to grab those bad boys.
Okay,
let's do it. Do it to it. Oh, and the person that wins is the first person who answers the question correctly, by the way.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh. Uh-oh. Oh. Concrete patio.
I have a deck.
Okay.
Concrete patio or a deck. Concrete patio or a deck. All right. 1 minute. Rules are with the mystery box battle, we have 1 minute to either build up our topic that we have, or we can break down their topic, whatever it is. You have 1 minute to convince Mr. and Mrs. Joe Public of which one is better. Mm-hmm. All right. So we want to go first or second?
I'll go second.
You go second?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So decks. Love decks. Used to build decks. Quality fence and deck. Awesome. I did it back when I was in college and stuff. It was my own little doodad, you know. But we built a lot of decks. And as far as decks go, they are very enjoyable. You can do lots of things with decks, especially with the composite decking materials these days. That's, basically made decks much longer lasting and much more comfortable. They're softer underfoot. You want to make sure you get light colored deck boards. We went with dark colored deck boards up north, and it gets very hot under your feet. So lighter colored deck boards. With a lot of the composite materials, vinyl materials, and things like that, there's not as much issues with rot and things like that. It is an expense that comes along with a deck. I mean, one of my buddies is looking at building a huge deck, and it was $35,000 was he was getting quoted, you know, but labor's expensive right now. You know, lumber's come back down, but yeah. As far as a deck goes, very enjoyable. They can be built at different heights. You can build it for a second story. You can build it for a first story. You can do a ground deck. You can do all kinds of different stuff with decking. And with decks, it's repairable. It's manipulable. You can change it, and you can add fire pits. You can do stuff down the road and make improvements to it for not all that much money. When it comes to concrete patios, the only way to really change is to chop it up and start over, and very few modifications can be actually done to them. But yeah. So, somebody's got the Spiritual Souls, Part 107. Excellent. Spiritual Souls, that is a correct answer. Part 107 license is the FAA license that's required for drone pilots. And if you could email me at thehelpfulhomeinspector at gmail.com, the helpful home inspector at gmail.com. I will get your address and stuff, and we'll send that out to you. But congratulations on winning a thermostat. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. So that's my argument for decks. What do you think about concrete patios, Michael?
I personally like concrete patios better for the fact that, one, they last longer and there's less maintenance. You could also, instead of just regular standard concrete, you can do a stamped concrete
or stained. Shouldn't be helping you. Sorry.
Crazy amount of different stuff you can do with the concrete, and then you can also coat it. You're supposed to reseal it and stuff, but I like them better because you can actually see. Unlike decks, you can't. If you build a ground level deck, you can't see what the grading really is doing underneath it. Truly ground level deck.
Sure.
And a lot of times you see water intrusion into basements because of that. If your patio starts sloping, you can have that easily mud jacked and, corrected. And you can always see where the water is running or pooling and stuff. You can put pergolas on them and stuff. Obviously, you can do that with a deck. It's just, I like it better because it's on the ground and you can concrete anchor them and away you go. And then if you do ever want to put in like a fire pit that's separate. You can always put like paver accents in them and stuff like that. There is a cost involved with it, but you don't have the maintenance that a deck would do. Don't have floorboards rotting out. You don't have posts rotting out.
Come on,
all that kind of stuff.
If a deck is built right today, those types of things shouldn't be happening.
It will happen. It's not if.
But you're talking. A well-built deck today should last 60, 80 years.
Sure.
At least.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
If you use composite.
60, 80 years?
If you use composite material as a deck surface, you use vinyl on the railings and balusters and stuff. The only wood you have on it is your green treated substructure.
I mean, I got concrete around my house that's from the 60s. So, I mean,
that's your walkways, though. It's not a patio.
Well, no, my patio is from the 60s,
that's true. You have a little patio back there, too.
Yeah.
But
I think
there's the moral of the story is as we do this, there's benefits to both. Yeah, there's the benefits to both. Concrete may be a little bit more difficult for homeowner Joe to do on his own.
Definitely.
And a deck is difficult to do, but it can be done with the right amount of education. And a concrete patio, you can do it without professionals if you want, with the right amount of education. But you still have to order the concrete from somebody and have a truck come brought in. You're not gonna. They have this little concrete mixer that they're pitching online all the time where it just dribbles out the concrete. I'm like, dude,
forever.
It would take forever to do a patio like that.
Or wheelbarrows and mixing it up
yourself.
yourself.
There's just you got to really. The only way to do that is bring a concrete truck in, and to do that you need to estimate your amount of concrete correctly. Or have a place for them to get rid of the excess. So both a great option though, and getting people using the outsides of their home more, all a good thing. So that is our mystery box battle. We do have another little segment we're going to throw in here. 5 things inspectors can't do, but people think we can. I've got a list that I wrote down, but I don't think Mike has a list prepared. Do you wanna go first to make it easy?
Just one.
Just give one and then I'll give one. We'll just kind of bounce back and forth.
A lot of people think we can see through walls.
We can't.
We cannot.
No. Yeah, they ask us what kind of wiring's in the walls.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We see Romex in the basement.
We see Romex,
BX, conduit.
Yeah, we see Romex and BX in the basement, or maybe we see knob and tube. If we see any evidence of knob and tube, most likely there's going to be some knob and tube in the walls, but that's an assumption.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily an accurate assumption, but it is something
Present
that
in the home.
I would buy that home. If you have tubes in the joist in the basement, and the wire's all been removed, I would go into buying that home assuming that there's some knob and tube wiring in the walls. You gotta. That's just a safe assumption. Better to assume that there is that kind of stuff or whatever instead of not assuming it and be surprised later. So So definitely they think we can look into walls. Lots of people think we can take apart outlets and fixtures and things to see how things are connected, and that's not true at all.
Furnace.
Like taking the furnace apart is another one. They think we can disassemble mechanicals and things, and we just can't. We need to be, if we're going to take apart a furnace, we need to be a licensed and certified HVAC technician in order to do that. Otherwise, we could cause damage to the furnace and then be liable for those damages. So it's something that we can't do. I can take the front cover off. I can look at the burners. I can look at the heat exchanger. I can operate the furnace like a homeowner would. I can do everything a homeowner would do. But as soon as I get beyond that, then I'm outside of my bounds as a home inspector. So I can't do that kind of stuff. So another one that I had was compare or grade houses.
Yes.
So
that was the other one I was gonna
almost everybody asks us, so how would this house compare to the next house you inspect? I can't.
Or would you buy this house?
Would you buy this house? Would you let your kids buy this house? And the whole thing of it is that here in the state of Wisconsin, other states might be different, but I would imagine they're probably in the same position, is that they don't want home inspectors operating as the person that's going to skew the person's view or opinion about the house one way or the other than presenting the facts of what is existing at the home as far as its condition goes. So they want us to be kind of that impartial third party, and in order to walk that line like that, we need to not render opinion about one house or the other. Also, it's not fair to compare one house. I mean, if I'm comparing a house down on 4th and North to a house over in subdivision in Heartland, you're just talking. You're not talking apples to apples. You know what I mean? And while I can look at a house and tell you that a house was well maintained, Or these are the positive things about the house. The roof is good. It's got a lot of life left in it. The furnace has another 20 years left in it. You know, the water lines have all been updated in the home. Those kinds of things I can share with you. But it's ultimately got to be you making the decision whether or not it's a good house to buy or a safe house for your kids to live in, that kind of stuff. Do you have another one?
I had see into the future.
Yeah, tell the future.
Predict the future.
Yeah.
Right? We can go over general life expectancies of furnace. We can't tell you, okay, on July 27th of 2027, your air conditioner is going to go out.
Yeah. And Murphy's Law says the minute you sign on that piece of paper, your air conditioner is going to die.
Yep.
You know, and it's just one of those things that sometimes things are unpredictable. I always tell people, you know, a pipe that may not be leaking today might start leaking tomorrow, and it's just a fact of being a homeowner. You know, do I run a lot of water through that house? Am I going to try to find any leaks I can? Yeah, absolutely. But a pipe that may not be leaking today might start leaking tomorrow, and as a homeowner, it's going to be your responsibility to pay for it, maintain it, repair it, call the plumber, whatever it may be, to take care of that problem. Another one that I had was move personal belongings. I can't move beds. I can't move couches. I will not walk on somebody's bed to check a window. You know, that kind of stuff. We can't move their car to get in the attic. Yeah. It's just not, it's actually against the rules in the state of Wisconsin for us to move personal belongings. You know, is there moments where I want to get into an attic scuttle hole and I don't want to get insulation all over somebody's, clothes, that I push their clothes out of the way? Sure. That's about the extent of what I move personal belongings. But
and I think they'd be okay with that. I've never had anybody call me saying, hey, you push my clothes out of the way.
No. Yeah. Usually if they have a really good agent, they're going to tell them, hey, make sure the attic scuttle hole is accessible because, and that there's nothing there. You don't want to get dirty because they're going to need to get up into there. And in that case, when they have that good agent, they're going to have their clothes and stuff sitting on the bed and things like that, so that closet and area is cleaned out for us. I actually had somebody, one of the things that we see in our tips to make a home inspection go smoothly, I say put a ladder by the scuttle hole so the home inspector. I've had it a couple times. I've had it a couple times. Not very often. There were somebody's put a ladder up there for me already, which is kind of nice,
And sometimes they were the 1910 wood ladders.
Yeah, you just move it out of the way. You see the kindness in what they're trying to do, though, and appreciate that. But it's something that we just don't take risks with old wooden rickety ladders and stuff. Yeah. And then the last. Did you have any? You have another one? Homes on homes. So Mike Holmes, great guy. Mike, I love you, and you do good work, whatever. And one of the things that gets confused about when we look at Homes on Homes, the TV show, the guy Mike Holmes, the guy I think up in Canada that does go through and he rips apart home inspectors and that kind of stuff, whatever. And there's bad home inspectors. I'm not saying that he's wrong about that. Yeah. But some of the stuff that Mike Holmes goes in and finds could not have been seen by a home inspector. So when Mike Holmes goes in, he's like, there's a lot of stuff coming together here. There's probably moisture behind that wall. I don't see anything but smash. And he looks in the wall. Look at, there's mold in here. And the home inspector, that's not what Mike is not operating as a home inspector there. And that's when he calls himself a home inspector and he's coming in and doing that, he's giving the misperception that that's what home inspectors do. Yeah. And that's not. The home inspector
testing is not done.
Yeah. People get upset if I had in the beginning we used moisture meters that had little prongs in them, and we would stick the prongs in where we saw moisture or whatever, just to see what the moisture level was.
Smaller hole than a picture.
It was like a little pinhole,
yeah.
And people would get upset about that, and we could technically get in some hot water because we're doing
damage
to the home or whatever of some kind. So we now go to a contactless water meter, or moisture meter. But the destructive testing like that Mike Holmes does is not a home inspection. Mike, when he's on that show, is not operating as a home inspector in any way, shape, or form. Maybe Mike does home inspections on the side and does a good job with them. I have no idea, but he doesn't put those on TV. Generally, what he's on TV doing, he's doing general contracting work and remodeling work and things like that. And let it be noted that he's got a crew of 12 guys that are going to come in behind him and not only correct what he damaged, but they're going to make it better, and then they're going to charge somebody a bunch of money for all that work, and whether or not the TV show pays for it or I don't know any of that stuff. But when people come in, they start talking about, well, Mike Holmes did this, and I'm no, that's not what a home inspector can do, and we, as much as we want to refer them to the state of Wisconsin standards of practice and what we're allowed to and not allowed to do, most people aren't going to want to read through that boring document, So yeah, but it is Homes on Homes is not home inspection. That is a entertainment show showing general contracting and remodeling. That's basically what that show is, right?
Yep.
more or less. Okay, so that is all that stuff. We do have our tip of the week. Tip of the week this week is it is time now. Now is the time to go out and do your painting and concrete sealing. So painting, once we get past Halloween, probably shouldn't be done. Yeah, your paint temperatures, when they get too low, the paint is not going to cure properly and or adhere to the surfaces properly. And so it's very important that you do that painting month of September, maybe beginning of October at the most, at the worst, at the latest.
Exterior painting.
Exterior painting.
Not
yeah.
interior is fine.
Not interior, yeah. Exterior painting. And then also concrete sealing should not happen after the beginning of October as well, because we want that concrete to absorb that sealant and last a long time. And if you do it when it's too cold, the absorption goes down because the pores of the concrete close up, and then it's not going to really perform as well. So painting and concrete sealing, caulking, another thing. Yeah. Now is the time. Now is the time. No more delays, okay? Set aside the time. Labor Day weekend's coming up. Maybe a good time to set aside some time to do that, But if you're looking to accomplish any exterior painting, exterior caulking, concrete sealing, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to get those projects done. It is not something to wait on, okay? Now, as far as the show this week goes, lots of good tips and tricks out there to help you be safer, folks, okay? And if you have any questions about drone technology, if you have any questions about ladders, always hit us up. If you have any questions about anything, like the guy that hit us up asking us the questions about the mold in the attic, where we love those kinds of questions. We would love to address those when bringing the experts and stuff to talk about those things for you guys. But if you have questions, shoot me an email at thehealthfulhomespector@gmail.com. We also have another almost 300 videos out there now about how to better maintain and take your home. Lots of good stuff out there. We're putting on new stuff every week. It should be good stuff. But we're also up to 340 subscribers. Who's going to be 341 people? Could be you. But ultimately, you guys, we will see you next week, Tuesday. We're trying to get Bill Miller in here. We're going to talk about managing household debt. And Bill is hopefully going to come in with some interesting ways to help us out with that from not only a banking perspective, but also personal perspective and stuff, and kind of go through some of that as we get, student loan payments coming due and, interest rates and all this other kinds of stuff. And Bill will give us an update on all that and stuff. So it should be a great show next week. Again, Tuesdays, 7 to 8 p.m. We'll have Bill on here, and we're going to get Team Smith on here hopefully in a couple weeks and talk about some other real estate stuff. So, yeah, got lots of good stuff. And we'll have Mike back again. Mike will be back here talking with us about something interesting again next time. But thanks again for tuning in to you guys. Really appreciate you watching the show. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button down below. It's going to basically let you know when we're putting out new stuff, whatever. The bell notification is going to give you bell notifications when we put out new stuff, but the subscribe will basically bring it up to the top of your feed. And then if you like the content that we're putting out, folks, give me a like. Give me a thumbs up, whatever. We'd love to get that kind of interaction. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please drop it in the comments down below. Any bit of interaction always helps our channel and helps us be successful here on YouTube for you guys so that we can keep bringing you this good stuff, all right? Thanks again for tuning in, you guys. Really appreciate you. And remember, the better you take care of your house,
better it's going to take care of you.
Heck yeah, man. All right, have a great one, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.